That way when we start, we can just start.
They'll get the notification that we went live. So,
Okay.
what's up, everybody? If you're here for a little pre-show fun.
Yep.
I've got to get my stuff ready here, and April's gonna hang out with you guys in the chat for a little bit. We've got a really fun show planned. We're gonna talk trans women in sports.
Yeah,
You
we
got a
are.
fun theory on Deja Vu, April,
I
and then we're gonna
do.
interact with the chat.
Yeah. So if there's any questions coming my way, I would love to hear them. And also, this Friday I will be in Dallas for WrestleCon. So I think that's from 1 to 5. So I'll be walking the floor. I'll tell you that story if somebody asks why my vendor fell through, and I might even show you the picture. So, hey Chuck, what's up? What's up? So, I think you recommended Pam and Tommy, and or no, you didn't recommend it. Somebody said you said you were watching it, and I just kept going with it, and it's good. So, thank you. Yeah, Eva, you should tell. Hey, Eva, look, I'm wearing the necklace you made. Hey, Allie, my online wifey. Yes, hey, that's me. Allie, you gonna be at WrestleCon or WrestleMania? I wasn't sure if you were making the trip or not. So, hello, John. Hello, baby. So, let's see. We ran into a few technical difficulties, which is why we're running late. This is going to be a very informal, guest-free show. You guys are the guests, so we'll do a little Q&A. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. Um, just figured we're going to take it easy this week because, quite honestly, I've got a whole lot I have to work on and a whole lot of packing to deal with, and my brain is like this, and Colin's dealing with a headache, and oh, drunk Chrissy. So, what's up? And so I just figured we keep it simple this week. You're not flying to Texas. It's a free state. You can get in there, and they like hand you a gun at the border, and you don't have to wear a mask. I think so.
They're gonna have new issues, April. I've heard that with New Mexico about to legalize marijuana statewide,
Hmm.
Texas is ramping up their border patrol on New Mexico for all the increase in marijuana that's going to be coming across the border now that Mexico. It's funny that they can secure our state borders, but we don't have a very good job of securing the southern border to the United
Seriously,
States.
really?
Yeah,
So it's going to be like what Nick dealt with, where the Indiana Michigan situation.
yeah.
Wow. So why wasn't Texas, instead of spending all this money securing the borders, why don't they just legalize it, tax it, and make the money, and then focus on spending the money somewhere else? I
It's
don't know,
too
like on
smart, April.
education.
It's too smart. They're they're
Oh,
they're worried
sorry.
about other
Let me just
things.
go back to shaking my tits.
Yeah, there you
There we
go.
go.
That they're too smart for them, April. Why would we pay attention to what California did when they got over $500 million in taxes the first year they legalized marijuana? So, I mean, you know,
At least legalize it medically. That's a nice happy medium. I don't know if legalizing it across the board, because honestly, I know this is going to sound terrible, but I've seen what states like California with legalized marijuana is doing to people who can just go into the store and they're high and they ruin their careers. That's all they do is get high. So I've seen it firsthand, and I never thought I would see that, but it's almost like alcoholism.
yeah.
So I don't
And
know.
I think some of that has to do with the taboo still around it, though.
Could be.
April, because if it's legal, it's like cigarettes. Now cigarettes are a little bit more stigmatized than what they were in the past. But you still get a little buzz from a cigarette when you smoke a cigarette. Most people do, right? But
Yeah.
it's not as necessarily as long as you would if you were smoking marijuana or whatnot. Um, but it definitely is like alcoholism. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people that use it as a crutch and other things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I do too. And yeah. Hello,
I mean,
hello, spaceman up there. How you
I'm not
doing?
gonna lie, I enjoy dabbling every once in a
I,
while.
I do too. But I also have a shut-off valve. A lot of people don't. At least when it's not ice cream, I have a shut-off valve. Ice cream's a different story, and so are cookies and some other sweets. Yes, anything red candy. Yeah. So, oh yeah, Aaron actually called about 15 minutes ago and said hello. I told him he's going to have to come on to a little pop surprise, and he said, yeah. He's doing an appearance in Kentucky, I guess, at the Harley Davidson. He's hosting a Super Bowl party.
Oh,
Super
that's
Bowl
cool.
party. I call it a Super Bowl of wrestling. Super Bowl of wrestling party. A WrestleMania party. So yeah, if you're out that way, I think it's Lexington. You can look them up and figure out where it is. So yeah, chocolate or pizza. I hear you with that. So yeah, no.
There's
Let me know
Fred.
when you want to. Hey, Fred, what's up? I'm drinking your coffee. I'm loving it.
All right.
So
Well, it
let
looks
me know
like
when
we've got some
you've
people
got
in the
enough people to
chat
start.
now. Yeah, let's roll it. Let's
All
get
right.
the music started. Put my thing up.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the A Show. I am your host, April Hunter. Across from me is Colin Wysong, the producer extreme. And this is where smart is the new sexy. Ha ha. So tonight we'll talk about a little variety of things. We're going to discuss transgender women and men in sports. We were going to talk about a theory surrounding Deja Vu, and also take some questions and answers and or questions from you guys, which I will answer for the most part if it's not too invasive. And I saw a couple of you popping a few things off in there, so it should be a fun show. So we saw there's a lot of controversy right now, but most people are covering all of the controversy going on. What I wanted to talk about is transgender athletes from an athletic point of view. So I've been in the ring with males and females, and there's definitely a difference. And I thought it was interesting everything going on with Leah Thomas. So I don't know. What is your opinion on it? I saw DeSantis is not backing down on some of the things that he has said, and I have to admire that. I'll say up front that I don't believe that transgender women that have transitioned to be men should be put into a contact sport against natural or biologically born males either. It's not safe. So this is a safety issue. This is also a scientific issue. This is not a transphobic issue, because I think if anybody does, whether you're trans or not trans, if you can do the job, do the job.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a safety issue, when it comes to something scientific like testosterone, where testosterone can make your muscles larger, your bones thicker, your tendons and ligaments stronger, your recovery time is quicker, therefore you can have more workouts. And you are just, it's terrible. This pains me to say it, okay? But men on an even playing field are, I don't want to say superior, for the sake of whatever, okay? On an even playing field, men are in the strength department superior to women in physical strength. Mental strength, different thing.
Yeah.
Completely different. Otherwise, you guys would be having the babies. But I feel like, if like somebody pointed out before, if women and men were equal at the top of their game, there would be no WNBA. The women would be good enough to just be in the NBA. So if you take a male basketball player who transitions into being a female, is he going to play in the NBA or is he going to play in the WNBA? And is it fair for him to play in the WNBA, or is he going to outscore everybody? So I think the situation with Leah Thomas is interesting, to say the least. What's your I'll come back to that. What's your opinion on
So
it?
so I think it's it's messed up. I don't believe that transgendered women should be competing against biological women, or as they want to say, cisgendered women.
I hate that
Um,
term.
yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a
Oh,
fan of these new terms for all these people like cis and Latinx,
I hate
Latinx,
it.
and all
Can
these
I just say?
things.
Can I say something too for the woman who was chosen to be the Supreme Court
Yeah,
nominee or
yeah,
whatever,
Ketanji Jackson Brown.
strictly because of her gender and race? We can define female. We can define a woman, and it's a person whose chromosomes are XX.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Okay, go.
Well, and so I am full. Look, if you want to be a woman, if you want to transition and be whatever you want, I'm down with it, right? Like I don't have
Hmm.
any. You do you, right? But one of the biggest things, Title IX was created in college sports to
Hmm.
protect women's sports because colleges were making so much money off the men's sports that they weren't allowing a wider assortment of sports for women, right? Um, with this situation, there's a Virginia Tech girl who is now coming out and actually putting her name and her face behind the fact that she is like kind of protesting and upset about the whole Leah Thomas thing, right?
Hmm.
And in her story, she one of her teammates at the 500-meter relay, she was a senior. She wasn't going to be able to compete anymore after this year. They take 16 swimmers. Her friend, who's not ever going to have another chance to swim in the NCAA finals and worked hard to get to this spot, missed her spot because Leah Thomas was one of those 16 people. Now, now she didn't do so well at the NCAA's. Like she won one race,
Hmm.
and then apparently finished, last in some and all like. But who knows if she's sandbagging, right? Because she's starting to see a lot of the issues that are coming out. But I'm right there with you, April. I don't think that
And
we should have,
we'll get to that too in a second.
but I
So
don't think we should have women like we should have a separate division for trans athletes.
exactly.
Because now they go on and they compare Leah Thomas to Katie Ledecky, who has all these women's records, Olympic gold medalist and things like that. But trans women can compete in the Olympics. So
Mhm.
how soon is it when all of the women in the Olympics, you might have one, two biologically female women, and then the rest are all trans men
Right.
that are or trans women that are, doing their sports and things like that. They go from being a 400 ranked swimmer to the top ranked swimmer in all of college sports. Um, it's a little ridiculous, and you see it in wrestling too. I mean, we have exoticos and stuff like that in wrestling, right? So you do see some of the transgender stuff in wrestling and in all these other sports. MMA, we talked about MMA. There were two fighters.
MMA, the transgender fighters have practically killed their opponents,
hmm
thus
And
solidifying my point.
And none of the women in MMA wanted to fight Fallon Fox. Fallon Fox
Yeah.
was this first test, and this was 5, 6, 7 years ago before it was
Yeah.
really mainstream about the transgender stuff. And no credible woman fighter wanted to fight Fallon Fox. They weren't going to get in the ring with her.
No.
And they nobody actually came out and said anything about her being trans. None of that stuff. I'm just not going to sign the bout agreement.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a contract in front of me to fight you. I'm not going to sign it. I'm not interested in that fight. Like I don't why would I want to fight a man? It's just
Well,
it's messed up, April, and the fact too that they make the trans men still compete with the women, especially in a sport like swimming. If you're wanting to transition and be a man, put them in the men's sports because they had a female that was transitioning to male, and she
mhm.
competed at the NCAA championships in swimming, but she swam against the women. So we're
And
not even like, and I get your point about the men shouldn't, trans men shouldn't compete with men, right? But
mhm.
that's what they want to be a man. They want to know what it's like to be a man. So you got to compete against men.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if they're physically able to, if they used to be female, if that's fair. If you're transitioning from female to male, and like I said, as a female who's an athlete,
hmm
before I did a fake sport, I did a real sport. I was in martial arts and gymnastics. Um, I don't know if a woman. No, don't get me wrong. I have gone up against some guys, and you have that lucky moment where, you can beat the shit out of them or whatever. But if you're a female and you go up against a guy who pound for pound is at the same weight class as you, the exact same weight class as you, you're jacked, he's jacked, you're 165 pounds, he's 165 pounds, you're going to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
You might get lucky once or twice, but if you have 5 fights, you're going to lose 4 of them. I know, I've done it. So I've tried, and that's who I've trained with so that I get better. So when I go up against girls that are 165 pounds, I'm going to beat them in all 5 because I've been wrestling guys. So, or fighting guys or judo with guys. So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. So if you are a female transitioning to male, you should still, I think, compete in the female division.
I get it. Yeah, I mean,
To
I
have
can
a fair shot.
yeah,
shot.
I can see that in
You can't have it one way and not have it the other way. You can't say that trans women need to compete as men, but trans men need to compete as men too. Like, you need to honestly, you need to compete as the biological sex you were born with to have a fair shot, because this is science.
And then say, hey, I'm a woman that beat all these men in the pool, right? Then when Leah Thomas wins the 500 meters or finishes 3rd or 2nd, she can be like, out of all these other men, I beat all of y'all, right? As a woman.
Yeah, and the gray area is, as Chrissy said, but don't the females get testosterone for transitioning to a male? So this is where it gets confusing, right? So this is why there should be a trans division. And somebody said, well, there aren't enough athletes for a trans division. And to my response was, well, they said the same thing about a women's division in every sport. They said there weren't going to be enough women to compete. But let me tell
It'll
you,
grow.
it will grow exponentially the minute they do it. Because right now you look at people like, like Leah Thomas, who's taking so much hate and heat for, at the end of the day, if you put yourself in her shoes, right? Or whatever, some people say his shoes, but if you put, she wants to be called a woman, you put herself in her shoes, she's just doing what she's always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So she's always wanted to be female, and she's always wanted to swim, and she's just doing what it takes to achieve her dream, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she's taking so much heat and hate for it. So people see that who are also trans, and they're like, fuck this shit. I'm already taking a lot of heat for the way I am, or my sexuality, or my choices. From my family, my friends, I'm not dealing with it publicly too. I'm not dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make a division that's trans, they might be like, oh, okay, it's friendly. Screw it. I'll try it. It's accepted. It's cool. I'm not gonna take heat over it, and get beer cans thrown at me and be ripped on publicly.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, she's definitely putting herself out there. A lot of the ones that transition and go into the public eye, there's definitely that extra stress that's added on top. And some people think there's agenda behind it. And there clearly is some agenda behind what they're doing, right? I would love. There's a person that I host a show with, and he is transitioning, right? Like he he hasn't fully gone through all the surgery and all that stuff yet, but that's, he's moving in that direction, right, April? And
Mm-hmm.
he's the unicorn of the right, because he is a right-leaning trans woman who believes a lot of this shit is bullshit. Like he still kind of goes by his name. Like he feels like he is on our side in a lot of these things, with how they push a lot of this trans agenda. And it's crazy to see that now you're going to start seeing a lot more right-leaning trans people come out, and they're going to be kind of against the trans movement, and it's more of a conservative trans movement, I guess, is what we're going to start seeing happen.
That'd be cool to have him on, or her on. They on. Sorry, I'm not.
Fuck. He still goes by Brandon.
I'm still okay.
He still goes by Brandon, so that's cool.
So the biggest advocate against this has surprisingly been Caitlyn Jenner,
Mm-hmm.
formerly Bruce Jenner, who competed in the Olympics. So that was surprising how much he has spoke. Sorry, shit. I grew up with Bruce Jenner being on the Wheaties box, so it's really hard for me to wrap my head around the last couple of years where he's now a she, because he was like such a hero when I grew up, and I loved him and had a crush on him. Okay,
Too many pronouns,
Caitlyn.
April.
I know I'm not good at this. I'm okay to see somebody as both. Um, I don't have to do one or the other. Anyway, Caitlyn has spoken out about how it's just not biologically, and it's just not right. It's not fair. It shouldn't happen that way, which surprised me. But then again, her being an athlete herself, she would know. So I don't know.
Well, let's play devil's advocate. So a lot of people are upset about this because Leah Thomas has already gone through puberty, much like
Mhm,
Fallon Fox and
mhm.
the military guy who killed the woman that was fighting as well. They had already gone through puberty, so they had already had their big testosterone dump and everything that they were going to have as a man to turn them into men. Right
Mhm.
now, now this is where the issue is. Right now, you have the issues of people transitioning their kids before puberty. Is that right? Do we
No.
transition kids before puberty, or do we allow them to hit puberty? And if they've hit puberty, are they still allowed to compete, with the women, uh, you know, uh, regular biological women compared to trans women, because they have already gone through the bone density, and they lose some of that stuff when they're on the medication, but the bone density is there, the musculature is there, everything else that they've needed to kind of turn their body into a man is still. I mean, if you look at those pictures of Leah Thomas standing beside those swimmers, I
She's
mean,
like
it's
a guy
like
with long hair.
it's like it'd be like you standing next to
A
like
good
Liv
looking guy
Morgan.
too at that.
Yeah, like they're huge against some tiny little woman like wrestling, like
Yeah.
like or China against one of those guys, like Hornswoggle standing next to
Well,
China.
from what I understand, the first thing, from what I understand, you're supposed to go through 3 full years of hormone treatment before you can compete as a female in a sport that is for females if you're transitioning. And from what I understand, the she didn't complete her full 3 years, so which is why DeSantis reversed the decision, because and they tried to push her in there, and it was not on the up and up or legal or anything like that. As far as, and oh, there's Steve. Hi, Steve. Hi, everybody. Hey, Playa. Thanks for everybody joining in, and we appreciate it very, very much. Hello, hello. From Okay, in my opinion, just as somebody who can remember very vividly what it was like to be a kid and a teenager, I don't think it's right to. And this is just me. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's right to encourage transitioning until someone's old enough to make the choice on their own.
Yeah, they gotta
Um,
make it themselves.
Now, a lot of kids may know at a certain age that this is what they want to do, and that's cool. But other kids may just be going with whatever's popular at the time and be swayed, as kids often are, because they're not strong yet, and your decision making, the frontal lobe of your brain isn't even developed until you're 25. So when you are talking about hormones and something that can permanently change you when you're not at an age where you should be permanently changed,
Yeah.
I think that's really risky. And if you are talking about letting kids, preteen kids, change themselves, when at that age they can't drink, they can't get an abortion without a parental consent or being married. For that matter, they can't get married. Um, they can't. Well, they can get a vaccine, but they can't do anything else with legally with medication without parental
It's
consent.
it's like Playa said right here. Kids can't drive, vote, smoke, or drink, but can decide their gender.
Right.
And there's a big, you said that Bruce Jenner is a big opponent of this. Matt Walsh is also, he works for the Daily Wire.
Hmm.
He's a big opponent of a lot of these things. And he actually has a whole documentary or something coming out where he's flown all over the world, April, and gone to all these places. had senators sit down with him, and he simply asks them, "What is a woman?" And he's putting out this documentary, right? To and it's his thing is the same thing. Like my 2-year-old, he'll even say it on his show. He's like, "I'll ask my child if they're a car," and my kid will be like, "Yeah," and then 10 minutes later, he'll be like, "I'm an airplane." So if
I'm a
you ask,
dog. I'm
yeah,
a
I'm a
dog.
dog, I'm a cat,
Yes.
I'm Superman. Like
Yeah.
they change who they are, and if you all of a sudden just take that. Now, I don't know if you heard this. There was a lesbian couple that is suing their fertility clinic because they didn't get a female. The baby came out as a boy.
What? Wouldn't you just be happy you have a baby?
No,
Does it help?
they wanted a girl baby. They didn't want a boy baby. They paid this fertility clinic all this
So
money.
they got a little extra.
They got a little extra down there, right?
I can understand that, but I mean, if they've got a healthy kid, I mean, a lot of people go to a fertility clinic and they try and try and try and pay a lot of money and they don't get anything. So, and Playa said Blair White's another trend saying this is not right. Yeah, and I saw a couple other people. Somebody else said that something was really interesting about labels. Um, we're all equal, but we're going to give you a label so you know how different you really are, something along the lines. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. I was semi watching the chat as we were talking.
Fred here says absolutely. As a parent who is dealing with this issue, all you can do is be supportive, and that's
Yeah,
really all you can be. You just have to. You can't. That's the problem too. Is a lot of times with the gay agenda, the gay when that was coming out, you would hear stories of I would come out to my family and my dad hit me or my dad
yeah.
like beat me up or kick me out the house or and it's kind of the same thing, right? Like you don't want to these guys that grew up in the 80s and 90s, they don't want to see their kids be like that, but it's a different era, and you just have to you can't I'm learning this. You can't just cut them off. You have to foster it because a lot of times they'll change their mind. They'll get bored with it usually,
It's like
and if
boyfriends. It's like bad boyfriends. You see that your daughter's with a shitty ass boyfriend and don't say anything. Don't say anything. Because the minute you say, no, you need to end that. They're just like,
don't
oh,
keep
I
going.
love
Yep.
you. All you say is, oh, I'm glad you guys are doing so well. Why don't you bring them home to dinner or invite them to the family picnic? Just encourage that shit as much as possible and just don't say anything more. That's it. Because let it run its course. Just let it run its course because she'll just eventually dump them.
Now, but to back to the lesbian couple though. Now, are they going to try to now that they're unhappy that they have a boy? Are they going to try to transition this kid? I would like to see years down the road to see if this family has tried to forcefully transition their kid and make him a girl because
Could
they were
people be that
unhappy.
cruel and stupid? Oh God, don't even answer that.
Yeah, you already know the answer to
COVID
that,
started out as
April.
a virus and ended up an IQ test, right? Holy shit.
Oh
Wow.
man.
What if he's a gay boy? Would that be more acceptable? What if they find out he's a boy, but he's actually gay?
That's totally fine. That should be totally fine.
Would they be okay with that then?
What if he loves women like they do? I learned it from you, Mom.
I don't know. Oh. Okay, so
That's
Player
funny.
said, what about the people that detransition later and not only don't get any attention that they used to, but are shunned by the trans communities now? Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, that's a big issue too. Now, Play brings it. That's something I've heard about as well. Is there's a large community of people who have detransitioned and are coming out against the whole transitioning of kids and them wishing they hadn't have done it and all these other things.
Really? Why are we
And
not hearing about that?
because they're again, it's part of the agenda. They only want good news to come out. You don't want to hear any bad news come out about this situation. It's all about the media. We can't trust the media, April.
I know. If Fred says in Texas they made it a criminal offense for parents to transition kids. I saw that. Fred, I'm curious as a father, what is your opinion on that? Now I know your child transitioned later, right? And you said that you told me she kind of always knew. But what's your opinion since you're kind of the only one here qualified? I think.
And his kid's 18, so it's their choice basically
Right.
now.
Um What's your opinion on it if she was 11? Or what's your opinion on the law in general? Do you think that's a good thing to kind of hands off with it until the child is an adult?
I mean, now if you can be charged for it down there in Texas, you definitely got to leave your hands off of it.
Hmm.
You can foster it, but you can't necessarily transition them at the time, right?
It's kind of like the law they've passed here in Florida. They've actually done it in Georgia too, but you're not hearing about it. Other governors are doing it too, but people just love to demonize DeSantis. So it's a law or a bill that is being nicknamed "Don't Say Gay," but that's not what it's about. It's about third graders and younger leaving gender and sexuality out of the classroom completely for that very young age group. So they just want it to be where you're learning ABCs and your numbers and leave all that stuff out. My opinion is if they know, they know. I let them dress how you want them to dress, but actual surgery needs to wait until they're absolutely sure. Okay, that's completely reasonable. So, yet your kid knew at 13. Okay. But to be sure, wait till later.
Wait till later, yeah, because once you start removing things, it's hard to reattach things in that sense. So you definitely have to be very cautious about that type of stuff.
I'll tell you what, man. If I had a penis, I would not get rid of that shit. Nope. No way. No way. So I always used to laugh when it is committed, right? So I used to laugh when I got into wrestling when I was a lot more muscly, and the first thing people would do to try and insult me is say, April used to be a man. And I'm like, used to be. If I used to be a man, I'd still keep that fucking dick, because then there wouldn't be a glass ceiling right here. I'd go all the way to the top and get the heavyweight championship instead of just trying for a women's championship. You kidding me? And I would be able to pee anywhere I want and write my name in the snow, bitches. No, I don't have a dick. I would have kept it.
You would just hate morning wood when you're like laying down. It's just really uncomfortable and things like that. There are times where
time. Are you kidding me?
that's what guys say. Guys say that if they had tits and a vagina, they would never leave the house. Even Jay Westcott just said it.
Yeah, but what do you mean? If you had tits and a vagina, you would never leave the house? What would you do? Like, sit here and feel them all the time? It gets old.
And jacking your dick gets old.
I don't know. I can't see
it. You would need a lot of lube because it would get raw at some point in time, April. You would.
There you go. Luckily, they have places that sell that. I'm sure Amazon has it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie. How you doing? So yeah. So there's that. I don't know if we're adding any more to that, but kind of covered most of that, I think.
Well, yeah. There you go. Like Fred said, feels good at first till you get chafed.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. When we went to the Ren Fair a couple of times recently. The only time having a penis is difficult when you have to pee and have a hard on. And I would imagine an unwelcome hard on, like in the worst case, Ontario. You know what I'm talking about? Like, just not, this is not
like when you're in front of a class presenting and you have to hold the trapper keeper down low because you've got that.
Here's where I would love to have a dick. Ren Fair. Because the bathrooms are so fucking gross, and you have to you're pulling all your skirts up and you're holding your bag, which is full of little bottles, of stuff that you're not supposed to bring in, but you're bringing it in because it's too expensive to drink. And you got all these massive skirts and your tits are falling out and you're trying to step over the fact that somebody peed all over the place. And you're in this nasty ass public, what are those things called? The porta pot.
Oh yeah. The porta johns.
It's gross. Yeah. The summer that we're in Florida, the sun is beating down on them. It's like 115 degrees in there. And there's flies everywhere, and you're trying not to dip your skirt. You're like trying to get in there and do this thing. Having a dick would be so convenient. It would just be like, psh, done. But no. You piss down your leg. You drop your skirt in something that you probably shouldn't have. You drink some more and pretend you didn't see it. You walk out with some dignity. You just do the best. Yes, you wear a kilt. That's why guys wear kilts. Exactly. I hope you wear it
It's true.
properly. You wear a kilt, not a skirt, right?
Letting it hang out. You just let it all hang out under the kilt.
Yeah. Why strangle them when you can dangle them, right?
That is true. That is a phrase coined here by the great
Yes, it
Aaron
was.
Stevens.
Yep, we're keeping that one.
Here, let me see if I can find it.
Which somebody said that they saw him at the there you go. Right? Somebody said they saw him at the Cup recently, and yes, he had a new robe and did very well and was very entertaining. So yeah, I think he finally hit the I don't give a fuck stage where he just decided to do whatever. And when he gets that stage, he becomes very entertaining.
I feel like people when they get to that point after they've done it for so long, I see
Hmm.
it with comedians and improv artists.
That's when they
Uh
become their true selves and get very
yeah,
funny.
they've
Yeah.
finally been like, you know what? I'm just gonna be me and I'm gonna get it over and I'm gonna just do whatever. And it's awesome. I think
Yep.
that's probably how Kanye made it. I've been watching Kanye's documentary and this guy, the first episode, he like the whole episode, he's like, I'm gonna make it one day. I'm gonna do it. Like we're doing this. It's gonna do it. Like his confidence in himself and his drive is why he is who he is today, right?
Hmm.
And he's starting to be himself now, and people are like, you're crazy. But I think this is who the
He
real
is. He's
Kanye
bipolar,
is.
right? Like
Yeah, I think
unmedicated bipolar.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to be, it's like The Secret. When you are delusional enough or confident enough, or sometimes even stupid enough to know that you are going to make it, the forces of the universe will align to make sure you make it. And people
hmm
who are like smart and talented, but overthinking it, going, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to make it. They're the ones that don't make it.
Yep.
You really just have to know you're going to make it. Even if that's delusional, stupid, or overconfident, you just have to do it. That's why
100%.
stupid people with no talent make it, because they just know they're going to make it.
That's why a guy like Jake Paul and Logan Paul are famous now because they did the YouTube thing, and then they were able to get acting classes and get all these extra things so that they could hone their craft. And now I mean, there are certain wrestlers in the WWE that aren't getting promoted on WrestleMania that don't even have matches, and these guys are coming in and have matches. So you can see what it's done for their career now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we got some bits cheered here in the chat.
Yay. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for throwing bits and adding bits and doing bits and Corgos, and we appreciate it. We have to pay our hosting fees, so it's nice when you help us do that. Thank you. Winona, you win. You win the peeing competition there. At least you don't have to get up and deal with anything uncomfortable or dirty. There's only that, but you definitely win this event right here.
That's why you don't want a penis right there. Think about cathetering that. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
no,
painful just.
no, no.
Ah,
So I went to a class with a friend. I guess a month or two ago. Oh, it froze as I shook my tits. Really? That must have been a weird freeze. Here, we'll do it again. So I went to a class about a month or two ago with a friend, and it was like a how do I want to put it? Like a mystic class about it was like I want to say, how do I put it? Yeah, mystic class. Anyway, one of the theories they had was deja vu, and it was the most plausible theory I've ever heard. So I think it's you, John. You're freezing.
yeah, that's how he's just trying to get free titty
Fucking
shakes here.
Canadians. We love you guys. So, yeah, so okay. So I don't know if people entertain the idea or believe in the idea of reincarnation. Um, so we'll lead into it with karma. A lot of people think karma is what goes around comes around. The true definition of karma comes from something a little bit different. It means what you're doing now will affect your future life, and
hmm
it'll also help straighten out your past life. So you may not get that what goes around comes around immediately, but it will eventually come back to you in your rebirth. So that's the original intention of it. So going from that, because the theory is that souls are energy and energy never dies. So all souls just go on. So if
Mm-hmm.
the body is the car, the soul is the driver. So when the body dies, if you don't take care of your car and get the oil changed and everything, the body might die sooner than it should, but the soul's going to keep going. So you will have a rebirth. And we have to learn certain lessons, and we're put on earth for a reason. So Deja Vu was presented in a way that was unique. So the woman said that when you feel like you've been there before, it's because your former self, your past self, has left you clues so that you can figure out what it is that you're doing to help you solve the situation that you're in now. So say that you have a hard time. Let me just find an example. Say you have a hard time with forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So you hold grudges and you have a hard time with forgiveness. And you have never been able to get past that in your past life. And you know that this is something you're not going to be able to solve. And you know that you're going to your deathbed not ever being able to solve it. Allegedly, your past life will leave your future self clues in the, let's just say, the matrix for you to find later. So when you come upon these clues, which are everywhere, you're supposed to look up from your phone and pay attention. The secrets to figuring your shit out is all around you. It's in the background of your life. So when you're out and about, pay attention to the background of what's going on. And a lot of the times we're so absorbed in this, we're not as smart as we used to be. We're not paying attention like we used to be. We're not as aware. But if you pay attention in the background, you will pick up the clues that were left for you, and you'll be able to solve the problems or the situations you're in. And that will be one step closer to fulfilling your purpose here on earth.
It's really interesting because I'm trying to think. I had a lot of deja vu when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one time, which we need to have Lori back on because Marilyn said she had a dream the other day and she needs it interpreted. But
Okay.
I wonder if Lori knows anything about deja vu and this type of stuff because, like, when I was a kid, I remember this one vividly. My friend, they had a station wagon. Remember the old station wagons where the seat would look out the back of the car?
Yep.
We were in it one day and we were driving down the road and I was just sitting there and I'm just like, I'm probably like 8 years old, right? And I had this vivid, like, I've been in this car before. Like
Yep.
we've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it could have been I dreamed it, like I saw it in my dreams, and subconsciously you don't, didn't think about it. And there's been other times I've had dreams, and then later on, I feel like there's that deja vu moment where it actually comes true. But I like the thing about karma too, because they say karma is paid in the next life.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that people are like, oh, well, it's karma for what you did. No, he's if something bad is happening to him today, that's something that he did in a past life. That's not
Mm-hmm.
anything that he did that's messing with him there. But
You ever meet those people who are good people, but the shit just keeps happening to them,
mhm,
bad shit over and over again? I just look at them. I'm like, wow, you must have been a challenging person in your
really,
last
yeah,
life. And like, you need to just handle it now. So when you come back, you get the good life.
yeah.
So,
It's definitely like I don't know how to explain it. Because I know it's happened to me, and it could be that the esoteric thing of where we actually do control our destinies, where we can manifest things.
mhm,
Like like a vision board. They say people that have vision boards. Me, I've manifested a lot of things just thinking it and visualizing it in my head over
mhm,
and over and over again. And things have worked out for me that way. But deja vu is definitely one of those weird phenomenon in society that we get. Like I wish we could know fully like what is deja vu? Like
I do too. But I guess we're going to have to be okay with not knowing some things and not being able to explain it and not debunking it just because we can't. We just have to be okay with it.
I guess this,
So,
like Fred said, that explains his friend who has 5 kids and 4 baby mamas.
Deja vu.
Deja vu.
I've
Karma,
been here
probably.
before. But yeah, Eva, did I explain that correctly? Pay attention to your surroundings. Yeah, the more we pay attention, the better it is for us. But like I said, a lot of times we're closed off now, or our brains are too busy and too absorbed.
Hmm. Exactly.
You ever think about somebody who you haven't thought about in a very long time,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden they call, text, or email?
Well, okay, so April, the first girl I ever dated, she was from Russia,
Hmm.
and
With love.
yes, lots
Okay.
of love. Sent from St. Petersburg, actually.
Okay.
But she lived next door to this guy in their apartment, and she always had like this crush on him. Like that was like her little high school crush. He was like a grade
Hmm.
lower than us, but we would be riding around, and she'd be like, "Man, Colin, I feel like I'm gonna see Jonathan. I feel like I'm gonna see somebody we know." Like we went to Carowinds. Carowinds is a theme
Yeah,
park,
I
much
know.
like
Carolinas.
yeah. So
Yeah, a
so
big good one too.
we're at Carowinds, right? And she's like, "Man, I just," and this before cell phones, social media, all that stuff, right? She's like, "Man, I just feel like we're gonna see him here. We're gonna see somebody I know here." And like usually it would be him, right? And we're walking through the crowd. And she's like, "Oh my God, look." And he's over at one of the games throwing a softball into the basket. And I'm
Wow.
like, how did you like this is multiple times that she's done this and I've seen this, right? And then she also had a connection to ghosts. There were
Hmm.
multiple times where she said she saw the ghost in my house, but I the connection that she had with these people where she's feeling things and she would tell me too, like she was very in tap with astrology and a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're gonna see this person, or I feel like I'm gonna see this person, and literally, we would see them that day or
Yeah.
a few hours later.
Oh yeah, I know a lot. I know a lot of people who are like that. I think some people are just more in tune with energy. I think
Hmm.
anybody can be in tune with energy, but most people aren't. So some can pick up on it more because they're open to it.
You want to know?
Um,
None? Yep, she was thinking of a guy she went to grade school with, and then ran into him later that day.
yeah, they say that's string theory. It's quantum physics, quantum energy.
Now
But
here,
as Chuck said, oh yeah.
Angelo is going to be yeah. Let's see, Chuck.
Chuck said, yeah, I believe they say that groups of souls reincarnate together. And that's why sometimes when you meet people, you either feel like you've known them your whole life, or you'll meet people and instantly dislike them because maybe they did something to you and you have no reason to dislike them. You just do.
So
So,
this one is actually pretty interesting because I've always had dreams of locations I've never been to, never seen in pictures. Then when I go to said place for no reason, I freeze in this bizarre gut feeling of nostalgia and shock. Now, could
yeah.
that be? You've seen the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, or have you read the book?
Yes. Yep.
Could that be something
Working on our
like?
cloud bursting skills.
Yeah, isn't that something like what that like maybe that Wolfers is going through there, where they're doing? I forgot what it's called. Um, what it is, what the technique is that they're doing from that movie, but they
Like,
basically set a person in a room, and this person can tell you everything about a room hundreds of thousands of miles away that they've never seen, can tell you the colors, the smells, the location of objects and things like that, and
mhm,
they're very accurate. Like, it's
mhm,
crazy how accurate they are.
mhm. Yeah, I've had some situation like that before. You should work on that, Game Wolfers. Like, work on developing that more because if you are able to do that, any one of you who has had these situations, remote viewing, right? Any one of you who has had these situations where um, you've had this coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences. So you can work on developing that further, just like you can work on developing how to throw a basketball into a hoop or how you can
Mhm.
work on
Train your voice.
cooking better, train your voice, work on your breathing, work on your flexibility. So you can work on training your mind to pick up things too. So you can look up how to do it. You can go to retreats. You can work on it's honing your intuition. So, or your psychic intuition. You can do it. Anyone can do it. Some people are
Yeah.
more in tune than others, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
100. Now, do you have anything else on Deja Vu that you wanted to add?
no,
Anybody in the chat have any moments of Deja Vu? Anything like that? Now, April, I wanted to get your the topic of discussion this week hasn't been the war in Ukraine. It hasn't been trans athletes really. It's been
no, you're going to talk about what everybody's talking about.
it's been the slap heard around the world. And as
Oh,
someone who is trained to fake fight,
hmm.
what are your thoughts on Will Smith's form, his slap, the whole situation? Is this another David Schultz situation? Do
Oh,
you
are we
believe he
really
was
talking about?
really taking
Okay.
his wife's back here? What do you think transpired at the Oscars on Sunday?
All right. Well, first off, let me first off, hi Chris. Yes, you made it, and yes, I love Carl Jung. Love him. So I've taken a few of the classes, some classes with that are based on Jungiism. So yes, yes. So anybody have questions too? Feel free to ask. So all right. So first off, I have many thoughts about this and no cares at all about it. I really don't care about it. So here in no particular order. Here it is. No one's watching the Oscars. Nobody gives a fuck about them. So they stage a thing with two of the best actors ever to make people watch. There's one. Two, it was a seemingly harmless joke. G.I. Jane that
He didn't know she had
perhaps
alopecia. Yeah,
hit wrong because of the alopecia. Um, when you lose your hair as a woman, it's like it's hard to explain. It's almost like losing your breast. It's like losing a part of your femininity. So it's really horrible. Um, so that could be a thing too. Being as though we're not black, there could be something more to it that we don't understand because we're not in this particular. There could be that we don't understand. I don't know that we're trying to, but we don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it could be that Smith was perfectly fine with it, but then knew he was going to take a bunch of shit from Jada on the ride home and not get any sex at all for the next 2 weeks if he didn't do something.
She's gonna call up August Alsina again.
Something. I heard, and I understand they're in an open relationship. So there could be a lot going on with their relationship that is strained, and it only took one slight thing to set them off. So I don't know. I don't know. Of everybody right now, I actually feel really bad for Chris Rock because he was just doing his job.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I think he took it on the chin really well. He had his hands behind his back. He,
Clenched his jaw at the right moment too.
yeah, but I mean, he's, who knows what he's been through before. He could have brothers.
That's true.
So, I mean, who knows? But whatever. I'm still not going to watch the Oscars next year, so fuck it.
Apparently 10 million viewers this year, down 10 million from 20 million last year.
Yeah.
So we're tired of, I guess America's tired of seeing the celebrities just do what they do.
Will Smith smacked Jesse Smollett too. Yeah, Jesse Smollett too. Yeah. Like I heard the first time I heard that, I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris Rock was over anyway. He's hilarious. So I just don't care about all this. This doesn't affect me. When I get on here and we talk about things like, I don't know, the fourth fucking booster shot and then trying to come after your kids, that affects me. I care about that. I care about you guys. I care about this bullshit. I care about the fact that everybody's getting rare blood clots and that our language has been weaponized and that everyone's being basically programmed to believe things like COVID side effects that are actually vaccine side effects, and that people are going to the hospital with blood clots and heart issues and being turned away and being told there's nothing that can be done, and they're not being recorded as these adverse events. No one's doing anything about it now, yet they keep pushing booster shots. That's what I care about. I don't give a fuck about rich as fuck people like smacking each other and trying to, I don't care. Don't get me wrong. I love Will Smith. He's excellent. He's from Philly. So I love them all, but I don't care. They don't affect me.
What's up, Indiana Jones cosplay? Welcome to the show. The punch would have been better, Ava. I would have liked to have seen him punch it. Yeah, I feel like there was something a little amiss to this. Like somebody said, security would have gotten up on stage. It's and like you said, April, it's buzz because nobody's watching. They needed something, and they know that Will has been emasculated with the whole entanglement stuff with Jada. So here's the perfect opportunity for him to get his masculinity back, and stand up for his wife. And he even made a comment afterwards about like when he won the Oscar about him playing Serena and Venus's Williams' dad. It made him, care about his family more, like be that protector, right? And it's like you should have been that protector the whole entire time. You shouldn't get into a role to put you into that. But I think that's where that role as King Richard or Richard Williams might have changed his outlook on things, much like Heath Ledger playing the Joker definitely left something in him, because you fully get into that character a lot of times and you become that person. So maybe that's where Will was coming from. Who knows? Like you said, it's all just to try to get people to talk about it, and that's what it worked.
I don't know. Yeah, it did. So that's our current distraction. There's always some kind of distraction out there. We love our distractions. Which, speaking of, I saw two things this past week worth mentioning for sure. One was the Adam Project, which I'm becoming a huge fan of. God, who's in that? It's Deadpool.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. Which I did not like him. I was like, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in every movie, but he's actually gotten hilarious, like actually legit hilarious.
Well, he's gotten to that point, like you said about Aaron. I feel like he's gotten to that point in his career where he's done so much that he's just being himself. He's just all right, cool. I've got my chops down. It's kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio when he went on that run, Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, when he finally won his Oscar. It was like he had hit his stride. It was like, you know what? I'm me. I'm not going to get any better. I'm just going to go out and do what I got to do. Right.
Yeah. So Adam Project, in case you haven't seen it, I think it's on Netflix. It's a time travel movie. It's funny. It's got action. It's just good. It's worth checking out. And the other thing I watched was Taylor Tomlinson. Look at you. So it was she's a comedian, unlike any female comedian I've ever seen before. A lot of times female comedians are like, and I don't mean to trash on my people there, but a lot of times they just talk about dumb shit about, guys and periods and stuff. She doesn't do any of that. She talks about real stuff, mental health, bipolar disorder, very real stuff that is very, very funny. So I would definitely recommend. It's very relatable no matter what gender you are. And yeah, Taylor Tomlinson, very, very funny. So worth mentioning for sure. So Aaron looks good with the guy liner. Yeah, he can pull off the guy liner. I think everybody looks hot in eyeliner. I don't know how that works, but it just does. Eyeliner makes everybody hotter. I don't know. It's just a rule. Yeah.
Adding the black around the eye, I think it
guess
adds
so.
that outline.
The mystery. That's the mystery. So it makes you very much an enigma. So, but yeah. So if there's anything else, you guys got anything you want to ask or questions or anything like that? Oh, yeah, I've got a little story to tell you. I don't know if I should tell you this story, though.
You gonna save it for next week? It's
No,
apparently
it'll be too late.
Oh, well then let's yeah, I mean.
Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit. So I shouldn't say too much. Oh, I'm just gonna say it. So I was booked. I was booked for WrestleCon. I keep saying it's frozen. Is it freezing?
No, you're fine. I don't think so.
Okay. So I was booked. This guy reached out and he told me, he books, he booked this guy, sent me pictures, he's of Scott Hall signing for him and Bret Hart signing for him and all this stuff. So, all right. So we started this booking thing back in December. So we're hammering out all the details, the pay, the travel, the whole thing. Next thing I know, he goes AWOL. Like, here we are, it's February, and I'm like, hey, WrestleMania is coming up. What's going on? Don't hear from him. But previous to this, he had sent me a naked picture.
That's ridiculous. Sorry.
What's even more ridiculous, I'm just going to flash it real quick.
Whoa. This is on.
No. He's covered. He's covered. I'm going to see if I can flash it real quick. Oh, yeah, I can. I'll cover up his information there. Just a real quick one.
Look at that.
You like the eggplant over the junk. So, yeah. So if anybody's wondering what it was that Aaron was talking about on Twitter, that was that, because he kept sending me naked pictures. So finally I was just like, I guess I'm not going to WrestleCon. This is not going to work out. So, because he's sending them to me, and he's like, is that too much? I'm like, yeah, a bit. I normally don't get naked pictures from people I don't know really, really well.
That's so, I don't get that.
Totally unsolicited. So he had already gotten my travel. So my travel's still intact. So I thought, between being at Full Sail University until 2019, I was, out of sight, out of mind. And then COVID hit. And when I was like, it's probably a micro penis. With COVID hitting and then being in quarantine, then you're out of sight and out of mind. I was supposed to be on WrestleCon for Tampa too, and then that got canceled. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go out. I go out and I'll walk around and say hi to people and have fun. So, yeah, I know it was not professional. That's a nice way of putting it. As Chrissy said, what the fuck? That was not professional. Not even a little bit. So, especially after spending a whole lot of time telling me how professional he was and how he's worked with the most professional people. Let it be noted that I did not send him any naked pictures back and had no interest in sending him naked pictures back.
You can just go find random nudes online and just send them to him.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, like, good promoters are so rare. I wish I could say that's an unusual circumstance, but it's not. You get so many unethical promoters in this business. So, yep. So there you go. And here's the best part. The reason he went AWOL and I didn't hear from him, I had to kind of gangster up on him. I was like, dude, what's going on? You wasted all my time. We went back and forth. You made me send you. He wanted a video call to prove that I was actually me before he spent the money to do all the travel and everything else. He's like, because you never know. There's a lot of fake April Hunters out there. I'm like, okay. Here we are. It's me. He's like, okay, great. We're sorted out. Didn't hear anything. So I'm like, you really wasted. I know you didn't actually waste my time. What's going on? I said, additionally, you sent a naked picture to me. He got back to me like 2 minutes after that with a whole string of things like, oh, my uncle this, and my car this, and this, and I don't think I'm going to be able to go. And by the way, my girlfriend broke up with me because of you. I was like, maybe she's just a good judge of personality. I don't know. Good judge of character.
Naked pictures.
Right.
Of course.
You're right. How's this my fault? So, yeah, that's what I was dealing with.
Wow.
So, yeah. Good times.
That's terrible.
Good times. So that is my situation with WrestleCon. So, so I'll just be walking around on Friday and saying hi to people and just visiting friends. So
that's very cool. I hope you have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, get out of the house a little bit. So why not? I haven't seen people in a while. So anyway.
It's Texas, so it should be beautiful.
Right? It looks like it's going to be nice and cool. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks to everybody for can't wait to hear the stories next week, right? Thank you for everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for your questions and your comments and joining in. Thank you to Colin for being across from me. And thank you for being a member on here and throwing bits, and we appreciate that very, very much, very, very much. And if you want to see all the shows, you can go on patreon.com, the A Show. You can see more of me on Patreon, April Hunter. Colin, where are you?
You can find me on Twitter at Colin Wysong, on Facebook, Instagram at Colin Wysong, and then Wednesdays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the Ridiculously Random podcast at twitch.tv backslash twitch.tv backslash ridiculously random pod. Most of our stuff is your random pod, so I need to switch the Twitch one over there. But this week's top 5, and get your emails in, your random pod at gmail.com. This week's top 5, April, in because of the slap her around the world, we're doing top 5 when celebrities attack.
Oh, I hope you were just going to say top 5 people who should be slapped.
That would have been a good one.
Like, oh!
That could have been a good one.
Can we include politicians?
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
All right, Colin, you know the deal. Are you going to peck flex? You're going to peck flex?
It's just.
Everybody has to peck flex. There you go. There you go. Are you moving them? Where's your hands? Well done. Well done. Well, thanks, you guys. Have a great night. Maybe I'll see some of you on Friday in person, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place.